ideas, any things that you've noticed, or how do you actually bring your film back to the audience and what they feel about the film?
I think that this film that I've done actually is a bit challenging. It's not that audience orientated. In a way, for this film, I'm kind of like still kind of testing this idea and kind of testing the limits. I think the work that where I kind of like just maybe when I made it, it was more audience orientated. Is the work that I did for the Biennale, and all lines flow up. So that was, I was very aware of that actually. So I think there's some spaces that when you make something, okay, you think about that. But then when you're pushing something new, then I think it's a kind of a gray zone. You're not too sure also. So I guess this one it's not audience oriented at all.
I think with this film in particular, because there are certain demands because it's a commission film and it's part of the arts fest, and there's always this angle of it has to incorporate dance with film, and it's a medium. I'm more familiar with film and dance. I'm not a dancer choreographer, but I'm interested in dance because they're also related with this movement. In terms of but I think what's important for me is always to find the idea, your first starting point, and whether the idea fits well with me, and I think it has to feel real to me first before, and I think if it feels real to me, then it would eventually find some resonance with audience. But if you are looking at audience as in terms of numbers, I think that's not something I'm particularly concerned about. I think films like this, or films in general, or the films that I make, if they are more in general, for me, when I look at film, there's always film as a product, film as a business, which is different as a film as an expression of or as a product of a cultural product. So, because if it's a film as a business, like what we are trying very hard to push, then the same considerations of selling a car or selling a bag is the same. I mean, it's like selling a burger. You need to have good marketing, you need to have good stars, you need to have good music, because then we are basically going into a business. So then that film is no different than let's say a bank or a credit card company. You need to have all those things. So like where you want to open a shop, you need to find a good location. It's basically purely business consideration. But if film has come into a slightly different, I mean, the work that Charles does is definitely not, you cannot apply the same considerations of a business to a kind of film like he does. It's like a secret pact. Does it mean that so you to equate a success of a film based on the number of eyeballs? I think you have to look also at the film, whether it is meant to be a product in the first place, or whether this film is actually more of a cultural expression or a personal approach. I think first and foremost, that's what I look for. I mean, if I'm making a work for, let's say for a client, then it's always different. So that's the audience factor, I think. But if I do my personal work, I think first and foremost, it always has to feel real to me, and I think you'll find its resonance somewhere. I mean, not everybody can take durian. I mean, some people like it, some people don't.
The French filmmaker Godard said, "Show me the budget and I'll show you the film." And so, very often the film dictates the amount of audience that it's going to have. And sometimes we, as Sherman said, we're filmmakers, we're clairvoyant, we try to figure out what form this film is going to take, and we make it the best it can be for that form. And maybe it's going to show to an audience of 100, but then the 100 that it appeals to have to really find something meaningful in that. As storytellers, the audience is very, very important. If you work at film as an artist and you are trying to push the medium, then the audience should not be a consideration. Especially so when technology now is improving to a point where like paintbrush and pen and paint is available to anyone. Anyone can be a painter, a illustrator. Everyone is a filmmaker. Every handheld device we hold has a camera. So everyone actually is a filmmaker. So when you get to that stage, artists will go through this range of emotions, and they will work it out by exploring the tools itself. But then, as a storyteller, there is a certain rigidity to the story. You have to hit certain story beats in order to connect with the audience. You have to build, you have to set up the story, you have to have a payoff. Those things are important, and the audience definitely has to be at the forefront of the storyteller, the filmmaker as storyteller. Yeah, but of course, as I mentioned at the start, it is based on many constraints. First and foremost, the budget. Having said that, you don't have to have a very expensive film to tell a good story.
And for both of you, it's your final year project, and this is something obviously quite important to you. And when you're making your animated piece, how important is it that you factor your audience members watching it? What do you want them to take away from seeing your film?
I think the most important part for ours would be that I hope that everyone laughs at the right places, because that's important to us actually. So ours is not a huge, deep, emotional film right now. It's just simple, entertaining, and that audience is something that we do have in mind, because we do want them to laugh at the right places. I mean, even if it's just one person who laughs, we'll be happy, and I'm glad that actually everyone actually laughed just now, and we were like, yes. So for us, it is something that we do take into consideration quite a lot for this piece especially.
I think pretty much what you said was correct. We have to let the audience know when exactly all the information fills up to that point where they get the joke. So it's very challenging where you build up the whole story to the end and someone doesn't get it. We went through a lot of iterations until all the information that we provide actually short, everyone gets it. So like all the visual cues and everything, particular timing to how long exposure this particular area is, and how the composition of the shot, it all leads to building up to the final payoff to the joke and all the visual cues. Yeah, so pretty much it was a challenge on its own, the visual cues and beats, and basically the rhythm of the whole shot. It's like once you finish it, you still have the need to, I want to watch it again. That kind of feeling is like having a little bite-sized chocolate. I just want to get one more. That's the feeling that we're trying to go for. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the audience, I mean, we'd love to hear if any one of you has any comments or questions for the filmmakers who are present here today. If you have any thoughts about what you've seen so far.